Chapter 2, October. Judy Douglas, Grade 5. I remember that day we first heard about the homework machine. It was late September, maybe early October. I heard Brenton and Snick talking, or at least I heard Brenton say something about a machine that does your homework for you. A homework machine? Can you imagine? It sounded like science fiction. Sounded like a joke. But Brenton isn't exactly known for his sense of humor. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard him crack a joke. At least, not on purpose. Sometimes the kids laugh at the things he says when he's trying to be serious. Not me. That's just rude. I thought about raising my hand and telling Miss Rasmussen what I'd overheard, but I knew everybody already thought I was a big goody two shoes, and I didn't want them calling me a tattletale, too. Maybe I should have told Miss Rasmussen. None of this would have happened. I might have mentioned it to Kelsey. Kelsey. Oh, I totally believed it. Brenton is a dork, but he's a genius dork. I know he's going to find a cure for cancer or win the Nobel Prize or something when he grows up. If any kid could create a machine that would do your homework for you, Brenton is the kid. And what's so amazing about it, anyhow? I mean, they put a man on the moon, right? They grow babies in test tubes, right? So why couldn't somebody invent a machine that could do homework? Brenton. I knew I should never have told Snick. As soon as the words left my mouth, I realized it was a mistake. Secrets are best kept secret. That's why they are called secrets. If I'd kept my mouth shut, none of this would have happened. Sam. I say to Brenton, get out of town. There's no such thing as a machine that can do your homework for you. He says, there is too, and he's got one. I tell him that if he really has a machine like that, he should show it to me. Put up or shut up, right? And when he says he doesn't want to, I just say, that's proof he made the whole thing up. He looks all guilty, like maybe he's going to cry or something. Judy. I told Snick to leave Brenton alone, but he wouldn't. He pestered him all the way to the playground. It was really mean. Snick is one of those kids who doesn't know when to stop. He'll do something mean or say something mean, and you'll tell him to stop it, but he'll keep on doing it. Then you raise your voice a little and say, stop it, and he keeps on doing it. And then finally you shout at him, stop it, and he acts like, whoa, you don't have to shout. But you do have to shout, because if you don't shout, he doesn't get the message. And Brenton never shouts. Brenton. I didn't want to show the machine to anyone. I never planned to show it to anyone. But Snick was really giving me a hard time. He called me a liar and a fake, which I'm not. Kelsey. I thought Brenton was going to cry. Really. Judy told Snick to knock it off. Brenton. Finally, I said to them, fine, come over to my house after school today, and I'll show it to you. But you have to swear on your life you'll never tell anyone about it. Judy. If you really did have a machine that you could do your homework for you, I wanted to see it. I mean, I work so hard for my grades, or hard on my homework, and Brenton still gets better grades than I do. I wanted to see what tricks he was using. Kelsey. I didn't even want to go to Brenton's house, but I had nothing else going on after school, so I figured, what the heck? Beats sitting around. We rode our bikes over. Brenton's mom. You can imagine my surprise when Brenton came home from school with that boy Sam, who they call Snickwad, and those two girls. I don't even remember the last time Brenton had a friend over. Maybe when he was a toddler and the kids had what we used to call play dates, and he never had a girl over. When he was little, the other kids never seemed to like him, or they couldn't relate to him. I really didn't know what was going on. It was always a matter of concern. I'd hoped that he'd grow out of it as he got older, and he would eventually fit in better socially. I was thrilled when the three of them came over. I thought that maybe Brenton had finally made some friends at school. I quickly whipped up a batch of those cinnamon rolls from a can and brought them up to his room for the kids. Just trying to be hospitable, you know. I wanted to hang around and get to know them a little, but they acted like they wanted me out of the room. So I went back downstairs. After all that happened later, I wish I'd stayed. Judy. I always wondered what Brenton's house would look like, what his mom would be like. Well, it was lovely, and so was she. She even made us these delicious cinnamon rolls. Sam. Brenton's room is weird. Most guys put up posters on their walls with pictures of their favorite athletes, or rock bands, or dirt bikes, and stuff like that. But Brenton, he has a picture of some old dude from ancient history. I say, "Who's that?" And he says, "Leonardo da Vinci." And I say, "Isn't that the dude that was in the Titanic movie?" And he says, "No, he's the dude who painted the Mona Lisa." And I say, "Mona, what?" And he says, "Oh, forget about it. Have another cinnamon roll." So I did. He has some bumper stickers on the back of his door that say, "War is not the answer," or something like that. Now that got me. You know, my dad was in the military, and these people who don't support the military get me real angry. I told him he was a hippie and a commie and stuff like that, joking around, but not really. Brenton. I explained to Sam that it is possible to support the military and at the same time be against the war. To me, the best support you can give to the military is to keep them out of wars, unless it's in our nation's vital interest. He didn't understand. I didn't press it. These issues tended to make people very emotional and are best avoided. Judy. Brenton closed the door as soon as his mom left. He locked it too. I was looking around the room for a machine, but Brenton just sat down in front of the computer on his desk. I mean, it was nice, but it didn't look like anything special. I mean, just about everybody has a computer. There was a scanner and a printer attached to it, but that was about it. Brenton said his dad works for a computer company, so he gets all kinds of stuff for free. Kelsey. Brenton said, "So, do you want to see how the homework machine works?" We all said, "Yeah." He took a piece of blank paper and wrote this on it: 2 plus 2 equals. Then he put the paper into the scanner face down. He sat down at the keyboard and typed some stuff into it. A few seconds later, the printer started making noise and a piece of paper popped out of it. The paper said on it, 2 plus 2 equals 4. Sam. I say, "That's it? That's the famous homework machine you told us about?" Big deal. I just laughed my head off. Any kid in first grade can tell you that 2 plus 2 equals 4. I got a cheap calculator that can do that and a lot more than that. The whole thing looked bogus to me. What a joke. I couldn't believe he called that piece of junk a homework machine. Brenton's mom. I sat downstairs the whole time wondering what they were doing up there. I thought about going upstairs and putting my ear to the door and listening, but that would have been an invasion of their privacy. Plus, they might have opened the door and caught me. Judy. I kind of felt sorry for Brenton. I figured he made up the whole story about the homework machine so he could make some friends. He probably just wanted us to come over to his house. It was kind of sad, really. I told Brenton I thought his machine was cool because I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Brenton. They didn't quite grasp the concept at first. I just did a simple arithmetic problem as an example. If the machine could add 2 plus 2, it could add any numbers. More than that, it could seek out any information on any subject. They lacked vision. They could only see the paper in front of them. Sam. So Brenton grabs his backpack and pulls out the homework assignment for that night. It was the stuff about the solar system. So this is what the paper looks like. So it has all the different facts, and you're supposed to fill in the blanks. Probably remember that from 5th grade. Miss Rasmussen, 5th grade teacher. I don't believe in tests for 5th graders. At this age, I would rather kids not feel so much pressure. Their daily homework assignments and special projects are more important and more educational. I usually give assignments in which the students have to answer multiple choice questions or provide short answers. They're easier to grade. Kelsey. Brenton slipped the sheet into the scanner and sat down at the computer again. We were all making faces behind his back and rolling our eyes and trying not to laugh. He typed in a bunch of stuff just like before. Judy. Nothing happened for a long time, like over a minute. It was really awkward. We all sat there without making a sound. Brenton kept saying it will only take a minute or so and just be patient. The computer made some noise, but nothing seemed to be happening. I think I was the one who said I really should be getting home. I was embarrassed for Brenton. I didn't want to see him fail, and I didn't want Snick to humiliate him. Sam. I'm sitting there the whole time thinking how much fun it's going to be to tell everybody at school about Brenton's totally lame homework machine. But then the printer starts making that humming sound. Kelsey. The printer made some noise and Brenton sat back in his chair. Judy. The paper slid out of the printer. I was sitting on that side, so I picked it out. So this is what it looked like. And it kind of has Brenton's handwriting in there. And for the longest time, we all just looked at it. I didn't know what to say. Nobody knew what to say. Sam, the thing worked. I mean, the thing worked. Every question was answered. The answers were all right. Well, it seemed to me. Not only that, but the answers were written in Brendan's handwriting. And the letters were even in blue ink. I mean, it was perfect. You never know that the machine did it. I couldn't believe my own eyes. Judy, we were all stunned. It was just amazing. It would have taken me over a half an hour to look up all that information. Brenton just slipped in the paper into the scanner, and the answers popped out a minute later. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have never believed it. Kelsey, I figured it was a trick. I mean, it had to be. Like, there had to be a little man inside the computer who did the work, but there wasn't. It was an honest to goodness homework machine. Brenton, of course it worked. I put the system together over the summer and started using it for my homework starting in September. I really have nothing against doing homework, honestly, but it can be a bit time consuming, and having the machine do the work for me allows me to pursue other interests. I want to find out more about psychology, physics, and medicine. I hope to find a cure for spinal cord injuries someday. There are only 24 hours in a day, unfortunately. The homework machine gave me more time. Sometimes I wish I lived on Venus or Mercury. Did you know that it takes 176 Earth days for Mercury to make one rotation? And it takes 243 Earth days for Venus to make one rotation? So one day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days. It's almost a year. How much more could one accomplish in a lifetime if each day lasted that long? On the other hand, it would not be okay to live on Jupiter. A day there lasts only 10 hours. You couldn't get much done in all of that time. Plus, the planet is pretty much a giant ball of gas, and it would be very difficult to live on. Miss Rasmussen. Sadly, Brenton is not challenged enough at our school. We simply don't have the resources to stimulate his mind properly. He needs to be in a school for special students like himself. He should be taking high school level classes. I certainly enjoyed having him in my class, but sometimes I felt that he was bored there. I have to teach for all of the kids. In October, we did a special project in which I asked the students to design a catapult. You know, those machines they used in the ancient times to hurl rock and things. I thought this would be a good assignment because they would be learning about science, history, and physics, and they would be having a fun at the same time. Well, all the kids came in with these adorable little catapults made out of popsicle sticks and plastic spoons and rubber bands, except for Brenton. His catapult was the size of a desk. It had ropes and springs and pulleys and levers. It even had a computer chip in it to help you aim the projectile you were firing. I didn't even understand it. It was simply amazing. We all took the catapults out to the playground and had a little contest. Most of them didn't work very well, but Brenton's threw a basketball over the school. I was sure that Brenton's father must have done all the work, Parents do that sometimes. And I knew that Brenton's father was a very smart man who worked in the computer industry. But no, at our parent teacher conference, Mr. DeBaccio told me that he didn't even know Brenton had made a catapult. That was after Brenton brought it home and stored it in the garage. Brenton, you want to know about the catapult? Well, I did a little research into the Greek and Roman history. The basic principles of the catapult were known back in the 9th century BC. I merely refined them. I don't want to bore you with all the details, but basically, all of the parts of the catapult needed to be proportional to the size of the torsion spring. It's simple mechanics, really. That kind of thing was fun for me. I never would have used the homework machine for something like that, or for something like the catapult assignment. Sam, catapults are cool. Miss R showed us some website that said the Romans didn't have gunpowder back then, so they used catapults to fling boulders and burning garbage and even dead bodies at their enemies at war. Can you imagine you're fighting somebody and they start heaving rotten food and stuff at you? Man, war was even cool back then. That was the first time I'd ever had a homework assignment. That was cool. Judy. Yeah, I didn't like the catapult assignment at all. I didn't think that war was an appropriate subject for us to study in school. There are more important things for us to learn. Kelsey. My catapult, not so good. I could barely throw a ping pong ball 10 feet. Everybody cracked up. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So the paper popped out of Brenton's printer and the worksheet was all filled out. After we realized the homework machine was for real, we were all talking at once, asking Brenton how it worked, how he invented it, how smart it was, and stuff like that. Brenton. The machine is simple, really. The scanner scans the worksheet and feeds the data into the computer. That's no big deal. I modified the pattern recognition software that would interpret the words and numbers to figure out what is being asked. If the information is already in the computer, such as the sum of 2 plus 2, the computer simply spits out the answer, and the printer prints the duplicate copy of the worksheet with the answers. If the information is not in the computer, such as the diameter of the Earth, the computer automatically goes to the internet, where virtually all of the world's knowledge is stored in digital form. It seeks out the answer from the most reliable websites, cross-checks it with the other websites, and the printer prints it out. The most difficult part was designing the software to print the answers in a typeface that looked like my own handwriting. It's not science fiction. It's pretty basic stuff, really. I'm surprised nobody else thought of it before me. Sam. Once I see the thing in action, I go ballistic. I say to myself, this is better than Edison's invention of the light bulb. This is better than the Wright brothers' invention of the airplane. This is the answer to all of my prayers. Homework is the one thing I hated more than anything else in the world. Homework was the one thing that made my life so difficult. If I play my cards right, I say to myself, I'll never have to do it again. Suddenly, I realized that for all his dorkiness, Brenton was the kind of kid I really wanted to hang out with. Judy. When that piece of paper popped out of the printer, I felt like I was witnessing a history-making event. Brenton. There's one more thing that I never told anyone. Shortly after I started using the homework machine for my own purposes, I received a mysterious email. It was from somebody who said he'd like to meet me. That's all it said. At the bottom of the email, there was a name, R. Milner. Now, I know better than to respond to strangers online. He could have been crazy or something, whatever. I just ignored the message. Kelsey, it was cool, definitely cool. I couldn't wait until we got to our next homework assignment so we could try it again.